Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee for July 29, 2025. I'm Councilmember Jamal Osman, and I'm the chair of this committee. Before we begin the meeting, I want to remind all members, staff, and public that these meetings are broadcasted live to enable greater public participation. They include real-time captioning to increase the accessibility of our proceeding to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully transcribe all comments before the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comment. We'll be using speaker management, so please sign up. At this time, I'll ask City Clerk to call the roll so we can verify a quorum.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye. Okay, I'm sorry, you're taking a roll call?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Cashman.
Here.
Jenkins is absent. Chowdhury.
Present.
Vice Chair Ellison is absent. Chair Osman.
Present.
There are 4 members present.
Let the record reflect we have a quorum. Before we proceed to the public hearing item on our agenda, we'll first take our consent agenda, which item 4 through 16. Item 4 is approving 4 liquor license. Item 5 is approving 26 liquor license renewals. Item 6 is approving 1 gambling license. Item 7 is approving rezoning application from 1600 West Lake Street, LLC, to rezone properties located there. Item 8 is approving rezoning application from West Ham Sunball to rezone properties at 2900 and Clinton Avenue. Item 9 is authorizing an ownership opportunity fund to loan to Plymouth Academy. Item 10 is authorizing a consent to a lease assignment to Life Source Donation Services. Item 11 is authorizing a temporary construction easement for 1005 West Broadway to be in junction with the demolition at 1001 West Broadway. Item 12 is accepting and authorizing a grant from U.S. Housing Department. Item 13 is setting a public hearing for September 2, 2025 to consider 2026 license fee schedule. Item 14 is setting a public hearing for August 12, 2025 to receive a comment, the 2024 HUD Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. Item 15 is setting a public hearing for August 12, 2025 to consider the issuance of tax-exempt revenue bond to refinance outstanding revenue bond of 4 University Gateway. Lastly, item 16 is referring to staff to the subject matter of ordinance related to the signage within the zoning code. With that, do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I am wondering if any staff are here that could help me with the Women's Club license renewal. I'm just curious because this operation did shut down in the spring. So wondering what they're hoping to do here and if we need to just have a conversation offline about this in between now and the next city council meeting, that'd be great. Thank you so much. We're going to touch base.
Oh, we are?
We're going to touch base on
Sure.
Teams.
All right. See no one else. I will move all items from 4 through 12. Set a public hearing for item 13 and 14 and refer item 16 to staff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Now we will proceed to the public hearing portion of our agenda. First, we have a public hearing on sale liquor, no live entertainment license for Lucky Shots Pickleball Club located at 3300 5th Street Northeast. I will welcome Lead Inspector Phil Cottrell to speak on this item. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Osman and committee members. My name is Phil Cottrell, and I'm a lead inspector with Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Lucky Shots Pickleball Club owned by Lucky Shots LLC at 3300 5th Street Northeast, located in Ward 1. The applicant is requesting an on-sale liquor with no entertainment and Sunday sales license at the current business. The daily hours of operation will be from 6:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. No alcohol sales will occur before 8 a.m. On July 9th, 2025, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Columbia Park Neighborhood Association and Council Member Payne. We haven't received any comments from the community. There have been no significant 311 or police calls that can be attributable to the business. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale liquor with no entertainment and Sunday sales license for Lucky Shots Pickleball Club. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing, and the first sign-up is Peter Remus. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Peter Remish, owner and founder of Lucky Shots Pickleball Club in Northeast Minneapolis. We have a total of 18 indoor courts in Northeast Minneapolis, and I want to welcome all of you to come over and play as my personal guest. We have been seeking a liquor license for some time now and looking for hopefully a successful passage and offering that as a feature to our guests. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Are there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and recognize Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. I just wanted to, thank you for creating this great opportunity in Northeast and move this item for approval. I think Lucky Shots, having shots in the name, already had me thinking that this was a bar, so now that will make even more sense. And really enjoyed the Minneapolis Cider Company that is also in Northeast that has pickleball and cidery, and I think it's just a combination of things that Minneapolitans love. So, thank you.
Thank you. I will recognize Councilmember, before I recognize Councilmember Rainville, I would like to recognize we have been joined by Councilmember Jenkins. Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. I just want to welcome you in your the great contribution that you're making to Northeast Minneapolis. You run a great business up there. I'm going to be voting for this. I just thank you for investing in that old building. It's just amazing what you do to these old industrial buildings, put them back online to a new use. So thank you for what you do, Peter.
Would you like to move the item for approval? Oh, you did? Okay. Councilmember Cashman approved the item. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, on that motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing for on-sale liquor general entertainment at 2 a.m. license for La Donna located at 241 Fremont Avenue North. I'll welcome Sarah Grace from business license to speak on this item. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Osman and committee members. I am License Inspector Sarah Grays with Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm representing an application from Ladonia, SBC LLC, doing business as Ladonia. They are located at 241 Fremont Avenue North, Unit B in Ward 5. The applicant is requesting an on-sale liquor brew pub license with general entertainment with Sunday sales and 2 a.m. Extended hours. If approved, they intend to provide an expanded drink menu with mixed drinks and cocktails like margaritas alongside their current tap room and food menu, which serves Central and South American food. They are able to serve approximately 200 patrons at tables and bar seating inside and also have an outside private patio, which has a capacity of 200. Their hours of operation are, for both indoor and outdoor hours, are currently Tuesday through Thursday, 4 to 11 p.m., Friday from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. On July 15th, 2025, public hearing notices were sent to residents, property owners, and posted on all residential business buildings with 4 or more units within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Harrison Neighborhood Association and Councilmember Ellison. We received no comments from the community. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and other operating conditions found no significant issues concerning the business and issuance of this license. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends an on-sale liquor brew pub general entertainment with Sunday sales 2 a.m. license for Ladonia. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing. And then first person I see is Sergio Manacero. Manacero, welcome.
Thank you. I'll try to remember to speak slowly enough for the captioning. Appreciate you guys taking this up. We've been in operation for 7 years, and so we're excited to expand into new territory at Ladonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there anyone who would like to speak on this item? See none, I'll close the public hearing and recognize Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Osman. Again, since Councilmember Ellison from Ward 5 is not here, I'm very happy to make this motion. Sergio, thanks for creating such a welcoming space at Ladonia, and all the community events that happen there are just really positive. And I know the Bryn Mawr community really appreciates having Ladonia right over Bassett Creek in Harrison. So we're all big fans, and happy to move this item for approval.
Thank you. See no one else on that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. All right, now we will be taking quasi-judicial item. Item 3 is a variance appeal that was submitted by Keith Kuman on behalf of Port of Minneapolis for the properties located at 3601 and 3701 Washington Avenue North. This appeal comes from a decision of the City Planning Commission. I will have Hillary Forok, right, from CBET to provide presentation of this item. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members, Chair Osman, council members. I'm Hillary Dvorak, Principal City Planner in the Land Use Design and Preservation section of CPED. We are here for an appeal concerning an appeal submitted by Port of Minneapolis LLC regarding the decision of the City Planning Commission from their July 7th meeting to approve a variance to reduce the required amount of EV charging stations, electric vehicle charging stations, from 14 to 10 on the site located at 3701 and 3601 Washington Avenue North. The appellant's variance request was to reduce the number of EV charging stations from 14 to 0. The City Planning Commission approved a variance from 14 to 10. The applicant is proposing to construct a 287-space principal surface parking lot on the site. The proposed surface parking lot would be divided into 2 zones. The southern zone would be used for ride sharing and would have 74 parking spaces. The northern zone would be used for paid parking and would have 213 parking spaces. Paid parking spaces would be pre-ordered with a ticket purchase to the Community Performing Arts Center. There will be 2 vehicle access points leading into and out of the principal surface parking lot. One is located approximately mid-block along Washington Avenue North, and the other is located near the southern end of the site. There would be gates located at each of the vehicle entrances, as the principal surface parking lot would be gated off when not in use. As part of the development of the Community Performing Arts Center, the applicant is required to develop an Event Transportation Management Plan, or an ETMP. The purpose of the ETMP is to define the transportation needs and strategies that will be used to manage travel to and from events at the CPAC and limit traffic impacts on the surrounding neighborhoods. The strategies identified in the ETMP will be refined as the development approaches completion, which will serve as a manual for event day operations. Even after the CPAC opens, the ETMP will be monitored by the applicant, the City of Minneapolis, and the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, and will be adjusted as needed. The ETMP will need to be approved by both the Department of Community Planning and Economic Development and Public Works before the certificate of occupancy is issued for the CPAC. The CPAC has no on-site parking and will therefore rely on a combination of shuttle buses, rideshare, off-site parking, biking, walking, and transit as means for guests to get to and from the amphitheater. The rideshare parking area will accommodate 74 vehicles, and the ETMP projects approximately 38% or approximately 3,000 guests will arrive via rideshare. The paid parking area will accommodate 213 vehicles. Of each vehicle is occupied by at least 2 people. This is approximately 5% of the overall guests. The principal surface parking lot would serve the CPAC, which is proposed to be constructed on the property located at 3501 West River Road North. So just to orient everyone, this is Dowling Avenue. To the right of your screen is north. Dowling Avenue comes into the site. The parking lot that we're talking about right here is located on parcel 7A and 7B, 3601 and 3701 Washington North. And the CPAC, the Community Performing Arts Center, where the events will take place, are here. And so this parking lot supports the CPAC. The proposed principal surface parking lot is located approximately 1/3 of a mile from the CPAC. Guests would utilize the public sidewalks along Washington, Dowling, and West River Road North to travel between their surface parking and the CPAC. The zoning code requires that newly established surface parking lots providing 20 or more spaces shall supply not less than 5% of the newly established spaces with electric vehicle charging stations. With 287 proposed parking spaces, a total of 14 electric vehicle charging stations would be required. The applicant is not proposing to have any electric vehicle charging stations on the site. The City Planning Commission, based on the number of parking spaces in the paid parking area, approved the variance from 14 to 10, not 14 to 0. The principal surface parking lot would serve the CPAC, which is proposed to be constructed at 3501 West River Road North. The CPAC is an 8,200-seat amphitheater. It could have up to 54 ticketed events per year, with an additional 36 non-ticket events per year. Ticket events at the CPAC will not be scheduled from January through April. The expectation is that larger ticket events will be held in mid-May or later. During one calendar year, the parking lot would be used up to 90 days, or 25% of the year. For a typical event at the CPAC, gates would open at 5 and the show would start at 6:30 and the show would end at 10. There would be gates located at each of the vehicle entrances, as the surface parking lot would not be in use when the CPAC is not in use. Challenges exist in complying with the ordinance because of circumstances unique to the property. The proposed principal surface parking lot will only be used up to 25% of the year and gated to restrict access when there are no events at the CPAC. Additionally, 26% of the total number of parking spaces proposed to be used for ride sharing, which will turn over many times during the course of an event. The unique nature and limited uses of the proposed principal surface parking lot over the course of 1 year creates challenges in complying with this zoning code provision. For those reasons, CPED staff recommended approval of the variance. The City Planning Commission, however, based on the number of parking spaces in the paid parking area, approved the variance from 14 to 10. And that action was appealed by the appellant, who is here to speak to the item. This concludes my presentation. I am standing for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. If the appellant is present at today's meeting, I will allow 7 minutes to address the committee. Anyone else speaking on this item are allowed to have 2 minutes. With that, I will open the public hearing and welcome the appellant. Please state your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Faith Kuman with NTH, here on behalf of the Port of Minneapolis. As Hillary noted, the parking lot here on Parcel 7 is a temporary use. It will be used primarily for events at the Community Performing Arts Center, including up to 54 commercial events and a currently undefined number of community events. As a seasonal venue, CPAC will only be open in the summer, and the parking lot is not planned to be used in the winter or shoveled in the winter because it's not going to be needed because it's not going to be needed for the seasonal venue. The Port of Minneapolis looked into leasing to an EV charging company that could provide an app-based service. However, based on the calculations that our engineers provided, the value of the electricity is a fraction of the installation cost. Therefore, we don't think we are going to be a very competitive option for an EV leasing type of company. Lastly, the Port of Minneapolis reviewed best practices around theft prevention. These strategies typically involve active surveillance from nearby buildings. Unfortunately, this location is in between off-ramp for the freeway and vacant land currently owned by the city of Minneapolis. So without our ability to provide that active surveillance, we are concerned that it could potentially be a target. So as a result, we don't think EV chargers are going to be the best thing here at this time, and we are requesting a variance to not provide them. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Are there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and recognize Councilmember Cashman.
Sure. I was still in queue from the last item, but I actually did have a question for staff on this one. I am just wondering what code or law is actually requiring the EV chargers, because I couldn't quite find that in the materials from the Planning Commission, like what, this development is supposed to be adhering to that they need a variance from.
The zoning code requires anytime a new surface parking lot is constructed, there are standards based on the types of uses. In this case, it's 5% of the total number of spaces need to have EV charging. So that is the zoning code regulation that we are talking about today, and the applicant is seeking the variance from.
Okay. Thanks. And then what was the staff recommendation at the Planning Commission, and what did the Planning Commission decide?
We were recommending approval of the variance from 14 down to 0, and the Planning Commission approved a variance from 14 to 10. And how they chose 10 is based on the total number of spaces minus the 74 spaces in the rideshare lot. So they were basing 5% on 213 instead of 5% on the total 287.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I will recognize Councilmember Allison.
Thank you so much. I feel like we're in a situation where we've got some real practical difficulty that the staff has presented, and I'm happy to hear different perspectives from my colleagues, but also this is a parcel that is, as the applicant mentioned, like uniquely situated. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of middle of nowhere spaces in the city of Minneapolis. It's going to soon not be the middle of nowhere, but currently this is the situation it's in. So I feel like we have practical difficulty. I feel like we've heard why it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the EV stations to go there, and I feel like any other parcel in the city would be hard pressed to meet these conditions. That's my opinion, So I think for that reason, it makes sense for us to approve this appeal and grant the variance down to 0 EV charging stations. Happy to hear other perspectives, but I'm going to go ahead and make that motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Rainville.
Yes, I agree with that motion to approve, grant the appeal. What sways me is that this is temporary. It's very temporary as well as seasonal, and common sense would dictate that we should do this and not insist on this extra money for this lot.
Thank you. I see City Attorney recognized before Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to remind the body that if the motion before you is to grant the appeal down to 0, you do need to make a motion to both grant the appeal and adopt the findings of fact in the staff report.
So moved, if that's permissible to the clerks. All right. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair Osman. I just kind of wanted to speak to the Planning Commission decision and just like contextualize that there were 7 different items before us related to this that were kind of all packaged together, and all of those were approved, and this was the one where there was kind of a compromise made. I think it was just the fact that like there is going to be so much vehicle use at the site, even if it is for a part of the year. And I think for a lot of the commissioners, it was kind of difficult to see that we wouldn't be encouraging in this location, city-owned site, electric vehicles, a cleaner type of use, and kind of looking out into the future. For me, I think I'm going to stick with the decision of the Planning Commission for that reason, and I think there is just some greater thinking that we need to do as it comes to centering options that are non-car ways to get to the CPAC. And I think that is a present concern, and I think it's going to be built out, but it kind of at this moment feels like it's at risk of being an afterthought, so I hope that there's more work being done, and so for that reason, I am going to stick with the Planning Commission's decision. And I'm also open if there's a discussion to, have like even fewer EV charging slots. I understand that 10 might be difficult, but what if there was like 3 or 4 for the visitors that are coming, right? Like there is data and information to back that that having options available for electric car users encourages people that use that type of transportation to be here and encourages that type of use. And we know that as a city of Minneapolis, we have a whole bunch of places in our city where there are those options and oftentimes available near municipally owned buildings and public buildings.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ellison.
Yeah, just a couple of things. First, I wanted to shout out the North News folks in the crowd today. There's the interns are here. I see staff here. You guys do great work. I hope that we can teach you something. I know these meetings get really tedious and boring, so I hope there's a way for you guys to extract some learning out of this. So I wanted to name that. So thank you guys. I think that the points that Councilmember Chowdhury made are really fair enough and common sense. The things I think about are, when I think about these practical difficulties, are what happens if we, given that there's no ability for surveillance, given that there's no buildings surrounding this area, what happens if the charging stations go in and they get ripped for copper, right? Like that's not something that's new to that area. It's not something that's new to EV charging stations. And so we won't have the charging stations and we'll have this expense to the developer. I think that there's slated, and usually I try not to ask questions that I don't immediately know the answer to, but for staff, the larger program here is for there eventually to be housing and other structures sort of near this site. I can't remember for the specific parking lots site, but is that going to stay a parking lot? Is it going to be housing in the future, or a portion of it going to be housing in the future? If you could refresh my memory.
Sure. From the adopted coordinated plan, Parcel 7 is proposed to be a 15-story building, mixed use with structured parking that would then support the overall development. The CPAC is here on Parcel 3. Everything along the river is parkland. There are 2 parcels up here, 1 and 2, both housing. Parcel 6A here is planned to be mixed use with housing. 6B is Health Hub, and then parcels 4 and 5 at the southern end, south of the CPAC, are job-focused types of uses. So yes, there is housing north of the CPAC.
Yeah. So
and other developments coming.
So I really think that as the full plan gets built out, and the concert venue is the kind of the first phase of that, as we see housing come online here, as we see on this very parcel both parking and housing come online in the future, I feel like that's a place to revisit the EV charging stations. There will be an ability to secure them. There will be people living living near them. There will be more 24-hour access to them. And so those are the things that are kind of swaying me to say, this is temporary. And I want to make sure, I hope this parking lot is not there, 10, 20 years from now. But this is a relatively temporary option, and I think that's why I'm comfortable moving forward with the staff's findings.
Thank you. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Osman. Really appreciate Councilmember Ellison's thinking about this, and I hope that this doesn't remain to be an empty parking lot for a majority of the year either. I do want to kind of chime in on this argument around safety and theft, and just caution us around it for future EV stations and current EV stations, because it could potentially just undermine building across the city. And something that's different this calendar year is we have new state law in place where if you are selling copper to a scrap metal seller and buyer, you have to have a license or they will not accept it. So that's a major deterrent, and I'm really glad that we have that, because we have seen lights throughout our city unlit for some time due to copper wire theft over the last couple of years. And staff has shared from Public Works specifically that the new state law has been a helpful deterrent. So I don't think safety for me in terms of like copper wire theft here is a compelling argument against EV charging stations. And even in areas where there is security, surveillance, eyes on the street, like that theft has also occurred, and the real deterrent is going to be this type of state law that makes it impossible for individuals to sell now illegally.
Okay. See no one else with the motion to grant the appeal. I'll ask City Clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Rainville.
Aye.
Cashman.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Chowdhury.
Nay.
Vice Chair Ellison.
Aye.
Chair Osman.
Aye.
There are 5 ayes and 1 nay.
That motion carries. Yes, Councilmember Ellison.
For the clerks, could I be noted as aye on all the items that I missed?
Perfect. All right, our last item is receive and file from Regulatory Services Department related to the encampment closure report. The report here is Q1 data, which is from December 19, 2024 throughout March 18, 2025. I believe the staff is here to answer any questions. Do any of my colleagues have questions? Councilmember Chowdhury, were you gonna?
Yes, thank you so much, Chair Osman. This is for the receive and file,
Yeah.
correct? So I wanted to move this item to the next biz meeting for a presentation. It was set not to have a presentation, and I want to give our staff some time to prepare and be ready for questions. For me personally, as an author of the encampment removal reporting ordinance, is really, really important that we get regular presentations every quarter. I hope that that could be an expectation that we set into the future. The main legislative intent around the encampment removal reporting ordinance was greater transparency and oversight over a function that the city administration carries out in terms of removing encampments and what happens to individuals that are within encampments next. And we're seeing rapid changes over just even this calendar year in how the city is engaging with encampments and unhoused people. So I think it's really important that we take the time to get a presentation, and I hope moving forward for Q2, Q3, Q4, we can expect presentations in this committee. And I appreciate staff's efforts in putting this together, and I'm happy to meet to discuss with them ahead of the next Business, Housing, and Zoning meeting what I'm hoping to hear from in this presentation. I'm sure there are other members of this committee that would be interested in doing that, and potentially we can have that meeting together.
Excuse me. Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to second this motion to proceed to the next meeting to have this conversation. I personally think that the presentation will be very helpful to have this element of seasonality, the response to encampments and individuals who are sleeping outside. It varies by season, and I personally have had in Ward 7, groups of individuals camping overnight in some of our public spaces, and have worked with the homeless response team to respond and to have service providers on site, offering, I think it was Better Futures who came out to, provide some resources to these individuals, but I can't speak to that consistency citywide. I would like to see, how the homeless response team and the other departments who are collaborating with them are responding in different areas of the city at different times of the year, and also to different levels of quantity of individuals who have grouped together. Those are some of my questions heading into the presentation next cycle. So thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury, for working with staff on making that information available.
Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. So I'm just concerned, confused, Councilmember Chowdhury. So you don't have issue with the report itself, it's questions you have going forward, is that what you want to give the staff more time for? Not the actual report?
Thank you, Councilmember Rainville, and through the chair. Staff just did not have time to prepare for a presentation. It's my understanding at agenda setting there was not going to be a presentation set, and so I think it's important that we get a presentation. They did a phenomenal job. The last encampment report for last quarter, giving us details on what the report actually means, right? If we look at what's attached to the LIMS file, it's a really great spreadsheet with the numbers, but I think it's helpful to get a real presentation, both for ourselves, our other colleagues, and the public.
So,
yeah, was that not clear?
Yeah, so could you just be clear? My question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so the question I asked was, you're comfortable with the report, it's just that you want to ask questions going into the future on how we respond.
So why I would like to have this at the next business, housing, and zoning meeting is because I don't think that I have received enough transparency and clarity without a presentation, and neither has the public. I think it should be common practice that we get a presentation. Staff's not prepared to give a presentation today, so I want to give them the time in the next 2 weeks to prepare a presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Just a little bit clear. During the presentation, during the agenda setting, we did talk about staff is here to answer any questions anytime, and that's what was decided. But now I understand Councilmember Chowdhury wants a full presentation prepared by the staff, and I support that. So, Councilmember Ellison.
Yeah, I was just going to add. I partially blame myself. I'm typically anti-presentation, and so sometimes it doesn't rise to the level of priority for me. And so, but I think that we as chair and vice chair, I think have some clarity, and I think staff have some clarity that the intended council members who authored the staff direction was that there would be, I believe, a quarterly report. And so that's something that we'll all note for the future. And I think there's nothing wrong with getting a presentation to help us track over time what's staying the same, what's working, what's changing, what's not working. I think that kind of transparency can be good. And as long as we can get staff questions ahead of time, as much as to the extent that it's possible, then we know that staff can come in ready not only to give the report, but also to answer any questions that that aren't answered by the report itself. So that's it. And thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury, for bringing this forward.
All right. Thank you. See no other person here. With the motion to delay one more cycle for the staff to come back and give presentation, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. All right. Seeing no further business before us with no objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.